Alright, let's talk about something that's both fascinating and a little humbling, the insane training regimens of elite hockey players. Now, I've been to the gym, I've lifted my fair share of weights, and I thought I had a decent grasp on what it takes to stay fit. But after diving into the world of high-level hockey training, I realized just how far removed my workouts are from what these athletes endure. And honestly, that's a good thing because some of this stuff, regular folks like me shouldn't even think about trying. Here's the hook. Imagine pushing against a wall with every ounce of strength you have, only to then explode into a jump squat. Sounds intense, right? That's called overcoming isometrics, and it's just one of the mind-bending techniques these athletes use. But here's the kicker. Ken Whittier, Boston University's associate head strength and conditioning coach, flat out told me, I wouldn't do it. And he's not just being cautious, he's being realistic. What works for NHL players like Charlie McAvoy or Matty Beniers could land the rest of us in physical therapy. What makes this really interesting is the why behind it. Elite athletes aren't just lifting weights, they're training their bodies to handle extreme demands. Take deceleration, for example. For a hockey player, slamming on the brakes at full speed is part of the job. They use these crazy flywheel machines that create eccentric resistance, which helps them stop on a dime. But for you and me, deceleration isn't a priority unless you're dodging a pothole on your morning jog. Personally, I think this highlights a bigger trend. Fitness isn't one size fits all. What's functional for an athlete might be unnecessary or even dangerous for the rest of us. One thing that immediately stands out is the progression of their training. Whittier breaks it down into phases, starting with foundational work, strength, mobility, stability. Sounds familiar, right? But here's where it gets wild. By phase 3, they're doing timed sprints with resistance cords and holding split squats for 3 minutes. 3 minutes! I'd rather run a marathon than hold a split squat for that long. What this really suggests is that these athletes are building a base most of us will never need. And that's okay. In my opinion, the key takeaway here is knowing your why. Are you training to lift your lawnmower, or are you training to outskate a defender? The answer should dictate your approach. A detail I find fascinating is the concept of potentiation. Whittier describes it like a dimmer switch for your nervous system. You push against an immovable object, and it primes your body for maximum output. It's like preloading a spring. But here's the catch. For regular folks, this could backfire. What many people don't realize is that these advanced techniques are built on a foundation of years of training. Try them too early, and you're asking for injury. If you take a step back and think about it, this is a perfect example of how context matters in fitness. What's a game changer for one person could be a recipe for disaster for another. This raises a deeper question. Why do we feel the need to mimic elite athletes in the first place? I think it's because we see their results and assume their methods are universally applicable. But here's the truth. Their goals, their bodies, and their lifestyles are worlds apart from ours. Whittier's advice for regular folks. Stick to the basics, squats, deadlifts, bench presses, and focus on consistency. From my perspective, that's not just smart, it's sustainable. You don't need to hold a split squat for 3 minutes to live a healthy, active life. So, what's the closing thought here? Fitness isn't about keeping up with the pros, it's about understanding your own needs and limitations. Personally, I'm sticking to my 45-minute gym sessions and leaving the overcoming isometrics to the pros. Because at the end of the day, I'd rather lift my lawnmower without throwing out my back. What about you? Are you training for the rink or for real life? Let me know in the comments. I'm curious to hear your take.